a conversation the other day with someone, and we were just talking about names, and the cipher was, like some people just thinking, or suggesting, names are bullshit, in the sense of, they limit us, they, it's really extreme as in names are bullshit, to where names are the most important thing to you, it's like, and everything in between, we're just bouncing around. But something that you said that made me think about the names and like liking your name, not liking your name, in life, because basically your name changes or develops over the years in some way, shape or form or another, even if it's just down to, the way your name is called. So when you're saying, like we're talking about, like, for example, say when your dad would call your name, maybe a certain way, it registers a certain energy in yourself. Whereas if I'm knocking for you to come out to play, and when I call your name, just the way your name is called just resonates. Yeah. So it definitely has. It's when you said about frequency, you mentioned something about frequency, or when you say your name, it has a certain frequency. It's like, yeah, I totally get that, because that's what I feel about my name. Although, because it came up, the conversation was, in the conscious movement, it's like, yeah, you should get yourself an original name. You've got to see that kind. This is where this conversation was coming from. And I was like, I like my name, and I've always liked my name. I like all of my names, and into the origins of names and language, because then if my name's an English name, but then we're looking at, there's no such thing as the English language, and it's all from other stuff, or I follow the trail and I find out where my names are from. What did they originally mean from the places where they originally were birthed? And then you find out that, they're not English names, they're other names and stuff like that. But that's another story. But it's just looking into the names, the energy, the frequencies around names, nicknames. You give as a rapper, you might give yourself a name, as an artist, or someone gives you a name, as you've got big feet, and they might call you Bigfoot. It's like that just sticks, and just sticks. So yeah, we're just looking at names, and just that's why I actually like your name and how it makes you.
Yeah, I've done a ceremony once with someone that I hold high. She's a Maori healer and cultural speaker, Auntie Ivy, and she also mentions that in her culture, when you meet each other, you don't just tell your own name. You tell the name of your mother, where she comes from, maybe even who her parents are, and then your parents, and then your own full name, and that's how you really introduce yourself properly, and you give also homage to those who stand behind you or who have come before you.
Nice. So yeah, there's I know back home and around the world, the naming ceremony is a very important thing. You don't just name a child, like just pick it out of a book, like this sounds cool, or name them after a bottle of your favorite drink or something like that. It's like there was some depth to it. So I'm not knocking anyone who's named after drinks and stuff like that, but just this is what we were discussing. We're just throwing this whole name conversation around.
I believe spirit. I once heard that we as spirits, we as souls, when we come to have a life, we kind of whisper our name into the ears of our mothers and fathers. And I believe that in a certain way. And I think it's beautiful if you have a name ceremony. You really feel into the child, and you're like, hey, I want to name it this or that. Certain things are cultural, others are not. Like when my sister got born, I was allowed to call her, I picked her name from a book, actually. Her name is Joy. She does have an African name as well, which my mother gave her because she felt like she needed that as well. Sibongile, which is a South African name. But I think we pick our names before we come, and I like the frequencies of my name. I do. I think it fits me.
And don't get me wrong, man. I got 2 children, and both their names came out of books too. You know what I'm saying? And it was just it's the.
Do they like their names?
Sorry.
Do they like their names?
Yeah. From as far as I'm aware, up to this point, they don't tell me otherwise. But like I tell them, you told me what to call you.
Yeah, exactly.
I live by that premise.
Exactly.
You inspired me to give you your names. You led me to these books and all the rest of it. So I operate from that standpoint. But nonetheless, you know, it was just like a reminder of, you know, how far we've been removed from the power of names and naming ceremony, where what we're doing to reconnect, you know, with in bringing, you know, because going back to it come out of conversations like, I've just asked you to share your name. What does your name mean? You could spend 10 minutes telling me about your name, you know, and even more. And then if I go to my mate, you know, Joe, who lives across the road, and I say, Joe, what does your name mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what we get where I'm from in the environment. Like, I don't even know what my name means. It's like, yeah, and it's just like, so again, not saying that you should know or you shouldn't know, but it's just interesting how some people hold a name. You know,
What is your name actually? I like you go as Darren LeBaron, but is that your name, or is that how you introduce yourself?
so like, yes, it is my name. It wasn't the name that my mother gave me, the full
Okay.
name, but partially it is. So I'll give you the
Even the
understanding.
surname.
So no, not the surname. So my birth name on my registration documents is Darren Leon Springer.
Okay.
Darren Leon
Okay.
Springer. And like my mum, family, you know, people on the circuits that I'm involved in, like work and schools, will call me Darren. But growing up, most people know me as Springer. You know, coming up, growing up, I was called Springer. All my brethren, all my friends, yo, Spring. You know,
Okay.
that's where, yeah, that's my energy. That's another one of my tones. So understand about who calls me Springer, who calls me Darren. You know, I know I decide, but yeah, it's a divination. It's like using like a divination. It
Yes.
lets me know who's who. But I'm saying that to say that, yes, my name's Darren, you know, it follows many trails, but it means great one, or a great one, or a great one.
Okay.
Leon corresponds with lion, you know, and the whole lion energy. And Springer was a Germanic name, a German name, Jewish German, which correspond. There's many root words and understands where that comes from, but it was all to do with jumpers. This guy who supposedly sprung or jumped.
In Dutch, in the Dutch language, to jump is also to spring.
So yeah, so there's all of that, you know. So yeah, there's more to it than that, but you know, on the surface, that's what it is. And the Darren LeBaron, so Darren Lee. Well, somebody said this to me the other day. They said, but anyway, let me not go there. I'll come back to it. So the Darren LeBaron is Darren Lee. You know, my name's Darren Leon, so the Lee is in, you know, and the Baron just comes from an archetype, of energy, you know, a mythology, a deity, a Loa, if I'll be specific, from the Haitian voodoo system known as Baron.
Okay.
So I'm starting to let that be known. A lot of people don't know. They think Darren LeBaron's my real name in some cases, because that was my social media name. That was my pen name. But that just came out of a relationship I built and formed with that culture, that system, and that archetype in particular. So based upon that, it had a nice little ring to it. Baron.
It does.
Yeah. The Baron was the French, you know, is because the Haitians were colonized by the French. So a lot of their system is interwoven with the traditional African, the Caribbean, and the French systems, or, you know, in that part. So because Leon was the French, I thought I can play, you know, just playing words name. I'm a wordsmith, and I play around with words. So that was what the download gave me, you know.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's my name.
Thanks for sharing.
Cool, man. So what I do want to just jump back into though, before we move, because I don't want to speak too long. I know it's a nice day. I actually want to get outside. I actually wanted to do this one outside. I thought you would have been outside for some reason or another as well.
I mean, I could have been, but I'm not. I will be going outside for sure, though. I mean, it's a beautiful day here as well. We're not that far apart.
Yeah, it's just that the interview I done went on, the battery died, as you know, but it's like I wanted to have it so I could just be sitting outside and be like, yeah, I'm just like playing in the park, just like interviewing and checking in with you. But like I said, there was some key things I actually did want to speak to you about, and we haven't even gone there yet, and we've been rolling. But before we do that, I would just like to know, because you did mention two things, and I do think it's worth just bringing out, because you just kind of went through it like nothing. He was like, yeah, one was about your view on God. Your name being good, God to good, the meaning, and then your view of God not being the view or perspective you had previously. So just, you know, however you feel comfortable with sharing that, what does that mean?
Let me take a sip.
I'll do the same.
Okay, so it's always, I find it difficult to talk about this subject because it's something which stands very close to my heart and my development in my journey, but I usually don't find people to be very much open to this vision. So, but I'm going to share it nonetheless because it has helped me a lot. Like I never grew up with believing in God or even thinking about a concept of God until I met my trainer when I was 18. I was actually still 17. And after the conversation that I had with him the first time, he asked me who I am. And there was a breaking point within me. I started crying. I was like, I don't know who I am. But there was tears in his eyes as well. And there was a beautiful energy that arose. And I like plants started lighting up and people started just like, there was a certain glow that came over me and over through my vision into the world. And when I walked away from that meeting, it's like, yes, I'm going to guide you in the path of Buddha and Jesus Christ. And somehow I thought I understood what he was saying, you know? So later on, we did speak a lot about the Bible. He had been through a big consciousness development, actually when he was in prison. And he was reading the Bible a lot, and it really changed his way. But he didn't he had grown up being a Christian. He had gone off that path. He didn't become a Christian again, but he did see the value within the Bible, and he suggested that we would also look into that, which I did a little bit. We weren't strictly stuck to the Bible. We also read things out of the Buddha. We learned things from the Buddhist side of Buddhist type of teachings, and even other ancient paths of religions or mystical texts, Zoroastrianism, Sufism. And another thing that he was also talking about a lot was the mother principle, or the mother goddess. But for me, it was always a little bit vague. It was always like, okay, let's give thanks to mother. Okay, which mother are we talking about? Are we talking about Mother Earth, or the mother energy, or the mother goddess? And who is that, and where is that? Because sometimes it seemed like he was literally talking to them, or he was in contact with them. But when I, like about 7 years after that, so when I was about 25 years old, I got into contact with this, or I started to follow this guy on YouTube called Jay Essex, and he's an old guy, not fancy looking at all, but he was sharing information about the secrets behind the government. And I had been very interested in these subjects for a long time. And he was on this channel called the Super Soldier Talk channel. And this is a channel where people who say they have been abducted by the government, or have worked for the government, or know secrets of the government around certain projects, amongst others, super soldier projects, where they basically train people or push people into certain types of pressure, where they build certain abilities which the government can then use to their advantage. But this is where I met this guy. So I was into that anyway. That's where I met him. And but along the way, I started to follow him personally on his own path. And he's a very strong spiritual seer. and he shares about what he sees, yeah, in the spirit world, basically. And it was in such a profound way that I thought either this guy is, sucking it out of his thumb and just, I don't know if it's the saying in English, but in Dutch there's a saying like, you just fabricate stuff. But it all clicked, all his stories. Like I started watching video after video. By now I've watched over thousands of his 1,000 of his videos. And yeah, he started writing a book. Started reading his book, Creation is Beginning and Our Origin. And there he actually shares about how creation came into being and how we came into being from there. And he gave me an explanation which, although it took a while for me to really accept it, eventually I couldn't. It resonated with me. It even though it didn't resonate with me before, because I don't want to use. Somebody inspired me the other day not to always go for what resonates with you, because that means that you only go for that which is within you already. But sometimes you have to open yourself up to things which you might not know. But there was something that intrigued me about him and what he was sharing, and that led me to change my views about how I saw spirit and how I saw the concept of God. And I could go a little bit deeper into what he shares exactly, but that might be a little bit long of an explanation.
Well, let's commit to doing that on the follow-up, man. Let's go. Let's have a God conversation, man.
Okay.
How I've made a note. I've made a note.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we
Cool.
can do that, but feel free to just continue as you feel.
Well, I think this is a nice introduction to that concept.
Okay.
But basically, I found out that we are all equal in creation, and even that being which didn't really create us, to my understanding, but which released us from itself. Let's say you have a bucket of water. You take a cup out of this water and you put it aside. This bucket of water didn't really give birth to the cup, but now the cup is separate from the bigger source. And that's basically how I see that we've been created. In a way, we were released from the first being, and that is what we call the creator. And it did make creation, it did design creation, but it also had its own issues. And this is where the concept of God doesn't really resonate with me anymore, because God implies something being better and greater than you, whilst even a parent, although it might take very good care of its children, and give them the means to build their own life and to be happy, it doesn't mean we have to pray for these parents or go down. We can give thanks to them, obviously, but we don't have to go down on our knees for them and call them greater than us, because no parent would actually want that. And yeah, creation is not what we think it is, and especially even not in the even the people who are into spirituality these days. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think in the future things will become more clear for everyone. But yeah, this is where I hold my standpoint now.
Okay, wicked, man. I look
Yeah.
forward to us covering the creation story. It's going to be the first one. We're going to start at the beginning. In the beginning was what? Yeah, and
Okay. Okay.
what's going on
Okay.
now? You know, like
I'm ready. I'm ready.
yeah, let's have that conversation, man. Like,
Nice.
so wicked, man. Thank you for sharing again.